Tell me, why do you think the track suits you and your program so well?
Well, Gulfstream traditionally has a lot of 3-year-old races, or in this case now that it starts in December, 2 and 3-year-old races, and we emphasize that program, and I think just because of the timing of the calendar, it's kind of when a lot of the later developing 2-year-olds, early developing 3-year-olds get ready. We've been fortunate enough over the years to to have 5 Florida Derby winners, so it just I think timing-wise it works well for us. I also think that kind of the speed favoring nature of the main track plays in kind of how our horses generally run. They're generally into the race early on and show some pace, so I think that suits them as well.
You mentioned the Florida Derby, and that seems to be a stop that you use. You used it with Always Dreaming when you won the Derby in 2017. Tell me, in terms of the timing that it comes up, how does that work out for you?
I love the spacing of the Florida Derby 5 weeks out. I mean, it's ideal. We've also gone, Super Saver won the Arkansas Derby 3 weeks out, so it's not mandatory. The good thing about if you're fortunate enough to have some decent 3-year-olds is there's so many good options everywhere. Generally every weekend there's a significant prep race being run somewhere, but the Florida Derby, I think where it's positioned is ideal, and that's why we've seen be a very successful prep in the past.
Now that you've had a couple of Derby wins under your belt, tell me, what are you looking for with your 2-year-olds turning 3? What is the ideal progression that you want to see with a young horse?
Well, it just depends. You have some that you already know what their established form is, so you're sort of targeting some prep races already, and then you have some other ones that are just getting started that you're trying to figure out where they are. But in Always Dreaming's case, even though he was still a maiden at this time, we had high hopes for him based on his 2-year-old form, and so we were kind of laying out a program for him. And occasionally you'll have some step up and surprise you, and then other ones, hopefully you've got a line on from early summer and fall that you're kind of laying out some plans for. But it's an exciting time of the year. You're obviously hoping to see him physically develop and make that transition from 2 to 3.
Do you have any 2-year-olds right now that you think might be the type that could potentially go on the Triple Crown Trail?
Well, we're hopeful. We don't have any obvious standouts at this point on the dirt, and I think King for Day ran a better than looked fourth in the Kentucky Jockey Club. He's one that we've had high hopes for. It's only his 3rd start. We've got a few other ones that we're getting ready to run. So the next 60 days are really key period of development.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks.